Hello! Happy Black History Month. Grab a drink, your favorite form of cannabis, or your choice of soft drink, and welcome to my bookshelf, Black History Month edition. Do you like jazz? Well, how about the blues? Today in episode 1, I'm going to be sharing with you Blues Legacies and Black Feminism by Dr. Angela Y. Davis. Holy shit. I'm Maddie Reese. I'm a Morrisonian scholar and a writer whose passion for African diaspora literature runs insatiably deep. This book, in my eyes, is not only perfect for the commencement of Black History Month, but also for the launch of this series for a multitude of reasons. Researched and written by the legend herself, Dr. Angela Davis is an American political activist, author, and professor who's best known for her former membership in the Communist Party and the Black Panther Party, as well as her brilliance and scholarship. She is a lesbian activist for LGBTQIA+ rights and has done outstanding human rights work on behalf of Black trans women. Woohoo! Blues Legacies and Black Feminism, Gertrude Ma Rainey, Bessie Smith, and Billie Holiday examines 3 Black women singers who were among the first to record the blues and who were all unapologetic queer icons who produced vast bodies of work and left rich cultural legacies. The book and its deep inquiry function as an exploration into how these women's recorded performances helped shape collective modes of Black consciousness, including traditions of feminist consciousness in working-class Black communities, and how their work addressed the urgent social issues of the 1920s. Dr. Davis presents arguments and evidence demonstrating that the blues genre enabled these developments, illuminating the blues as an inherently diasporic form with deep historical roots and intellectual complexity. She names it the predominant post-slavery African-American musical form and the most prominent secular genre in early 20th century Black American music. The conditions of U.S. slavery deeply informed the formation of the blues genre, serving as a vital site for the preservation of African cultural memory. In particular, Davis acknowledges that these feminist musical traditions, which she refers to as oralities, were born through the genius of formerly enslaved people who forged new traditions and modes of cultural preservation. Davis compellingly defines the blues as an emotionally configured experience shaped by an individual psyche and by post-Civil War conditions and the emancipation of enslaved people. These conditions would be considered the blues. The emotional responses to them are also the blues, making them both feelings and circumstances, both subjective states and objective phenomena. These conditions create capacity for fearless, unadorned realism, which she identifies as a defining feature that makes possible powerful discourse and the explicit articulation and exploration of sexual politics. Gertrude Ma Rainey, considered one generation removed from slavery, was born in 1886 in Columbus, Georgia, and stands as a pioneering figure who openly acknowledged and addressed social issues central to both historical and contemporary discourse. One of my favorite sections in this book is Davis's critique of Lawrence Levine's description of the social and political dimensions of the blues and of the call and response form, a form which Ma Rainey was famous. She affirms that the call and response form describes an action and response while also functioning as a space for spontaneity, which she compares to religious testifying and sermonic tradition, in which it is rooted. It was one of the only spaces where Black women could recognize their personal experiences within a shared reality that was collectively experienced and politically meaningful. The mother of the blues' oeuvre consists of love and sex-oriented songs, which David describes as mirroring and furnishing responses to songs associated with the male's country blues tradition, with furnishing operating as a particularly delicious lexical choice. While Davis uses this sentence in a context that does not directly describe Ma Rainey, it feels profoundly applicable to her voice. The blues confronts raw and emotional and sexual matters associated with a very specific historical reality, making complex statements that transcend the particularities of their origins, on page 24. This is not only what Ma Rainey did, it is what the blues themselves do. Though all of these women are complicated cats, and Ma Rainey's career and personal life, from what we know of both, are complex, Davis affirms her open expression of sexual desire and autonomy, and the lack thereof, creating historical possibilities for equality. For a contemporary piece of media, I highly recommend you go watch Viola Davis's Academy Award-nominated performance as Ma Rainey in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, which premiered in 2020, where you can watch on Netflix. Ma Rainey was a close and enduring mentor and friend to Bessie Smith, the Empress of the Blues, who was born in Chattanooga, Tennessee in 1894. Rainey and Smith met when Smith was just 14, and although this book does not speculate on their personal lives or relationship, there has been historical speculation that their relationship may have been romantic and/or sexual at some point. However, based on currently available documentation, their relationship appears to have remained cordial, supportive, and even platonically intimate, functioning primarily as a mentor-protege relationship and friendship. Bessie Smith's artistic rise coincided with the Harlem Renaissance. She established a tradition of public discourse on male violence, and Dr. Davis explains that Smith's songs name male violence, and, quote, varied patterns of implied or explicit criticism and resistance are woven into the performances of them, on page 25. However, one of Davis's critiques extends beyond Smith to the genre as a whole, the relative lack of naming or analysis of the social forces responsible for black men's propensity to inflict violence on their female partners. Yet both the genre and Bessie Smith accomplished extraordinary things within the form's confines. I highly recommend watching the 2015 film Bessie, starring Queen Latifah, which dives deeper into the life and career of Smith. Queen Latifah's performance is truly incredible. In my reading, Billie Holiday, also known as Lady Day, is the figure for whom Angela Davis seems to hold the most personal affection. Born in 1915 in Philadelphia, Holiday resonates with Davis through her musical meditations and through the way her performances carried her own stories, the stories of countless women and the ideological constructions of gender, all while she demonstrates what Davis describes as a, quote, awesome ability to transmute musical and lyrical meanings within the container of a performance. Damn. Much like Rainey and Smith, her, quote, genius was to give her life experiences an aesthetic form that recast them as windows through which other women could peer critically at their own lives. She offered other women the possibility of understanding the social contradictions they embodied and enacted in their own social lives through fissures of patriarchal discourse in her music. Also, you're listening to Queen Audra McDonald herself sing I Wonder Where Our Love Has Gone as Billie Holiday in the 2014 musical Lady Day at Emerson's Bar and Grill, written by Lainey Robertson and directed by Lonnie Price. And Miss McDonald, I love you so, so much. Blues Legacies and Black Feminism was published in January of 1998. This edition, published by Vintage Books, a division of Random House, was released in February of 1999. Fun fact, Toni Morrison had a revolutionary career as an editor at Random House for nearly 15 years, serving as the first Black woman senior editor in the fiction department. In this role, she played a pivotal part in shaping the commercial literary landscape, editing and championing authors such as Angela Davis herself. Morrison played a monumental role in Davis's career, in my personal opinion, persuading her to write Angela Davis an autobiography in 1974 and edited the manuscript. The two shared an intimate, collaborative, and enduring professional relationship as well as a personal friendship. Compared to other academic texts, Blues Legacies is a short read containing 197 pages of primary text, an additional 200 pages consisting of Davis's personal transcriptions of the complete recorded bodies of Gertrude Ma Rainey and Bessie Smith's recordings, which were 252 at the time, by the way. Davis explains that in mid to late 1990s, The CDs were not yet mass-produced, and she was working strictly with vinyl records, which she notes were sometimes very difficult to hear in the introduction. She explores, counters, and supports the analysis of other scholars, including Edward Brooks, Lawrence Levine, blues scholar Paul Oliver, and Samuel Charters, and highlights the analysis, perceptions, and perspectives of blues women themselves, including Koko Taylor. The writing, particularly the syntax, elicited a visceral reaction in me, revealing just how incredible and also how accessible this book is. It takes my breath away. I strongly agree with the Appalachian Journal's quote featured in the acclaim section that the book is simple, obvious, and fun, and that these qualities are not reductive. On a personal note, I hold deep reverence and gratitude for all of these women, masters of their craft who bravely and magnificently lived what once seemed impossible and made it possible, and whose legacies remain sustaining and whose voices continue to be loved, cherished, and honored today. Happy Black History Month. Grab a copy of Blues Legacies in Black Feminism from your local library or Black-owned bookstore. This is mine if you're based in NYC. It is Gladys Books and Wine. You can find them at 306 Malcolm X Boulevard in Brooklyn. And thank you so much for joining me. I'm Maddie Reese, and I'll see you next time on Welcome to My Bookshelf.